We'll see. That's fine, I don't care.
See a lot of. Yeah, going around. Yeah.
It's not that peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be quick around. You get the right thing. There.
Regular council meeting Tuesday, May 26th, 2026, 6 P.M. City clerk, please give the roll call.
Baker.
Here.
Councilwoman Fredo. Here. Councilwoman Holzhausen. Here. Councilman Phillips.
Yeah.
Councilman Holston.
Here.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Here.
Councilwoman Sitton. Here. Councilman Wallace.
With there being a quorum, I will call this meeting to order. Everyone, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Councilman Phillips, please for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I will open the floor for any comments from the public regarding any item on the agenda.
Does the budget include an overtime budget for the police department? Does that include hours that will be accumulating because the police dog is going to be needed more and more often after the shift is over?
There is a formula to calculate overtime, yes, or for all staff.
Right.
Go ahead.
Annual work, you got trying to purchase a property or going to in Lewis, Houston on 908 Allen. And it'll be our first purchase at the least worth. We moved back from Arkansas last year and we've had our dogs down here, in a nice kennel for 7 months, been traveling back and forth from the coast. You see, because the house is abandoned, but we worked on and got everything ripped out of it. And I own a construction company. So we're wanting to build. So I talked to the city administrator and Charlie last week and found a deal or Campers Cozy Seed where we could put it at our place, work on either tearing off the whole roof and building 2 stories, 1 pitch on top of what's there. But there's only 1 water line going in there. There's no fixtures. I leveled the floor, I took out the ceiling, walls, took out all the old electrics, whoever had before was squatting in it. So took care of all that. And so we travel back and forth from the Cozy Seat twice a day. We couldn't and just live down there. We like to spruce it up. We then take care of the place, mowing the grass. We just want to really be closer to our dogs and our animals and hopefully get a chance of living our life and be able to build, maybe spruce the area up a little bit down there. Can't find a place outside of town. It's $10,500 to buy the property. So the way things are these days, you can't hardly find anything you can own for that. And our company name is Red Letter Construction. I work out in that Nationwide trailer, Pastor James Smith. So I ride back and forth with him every day. I sing in the choir and I just love the Lord. He turned my life over to him 7 years ago and called me back here. And so just trying to be a part of the community. And hopefully I can just stem that water line. It's really why I'm here. As I just want to let you all know that and I see who I am. And I want to stem a water line if I can out that inside the house, there's no insulation in it. It's good, it's pretty much a shed is what it should be considered now. There's nothing else. The electric's on there, I've wired 4 new outlets. So, and then just stem a water line and then a 30-amp plug. So I can plug our camper into it, and anything else that needs to be plugged in outside, I got plugged on the camper, and it's 2015 Puma. Catalina, it's got the outside speakers and canopy is a nice answer. It's a small one, but it's not a crappy. So, what we'll be pulling there will be pretty nice, and like I said, we're gonna be working on it. Taking off all the siding. I filled up a 40-yard dumpster on what I took out the inside, so it's completely gutted. Take off the siding, the windows, and take off the roof, and just put 2 double top plate and build another story on top of it with 1 pitch roof.
You got any time frame that you're thinking that?
Well, they said we could be there 2 to 5 years in a camper, but I'm trying to build within like the next year, and have everything going. If I'm not saying I could have it done before this winter, but it's a possibility I might have to be in that camper 1 more winter. Like I said, we moved back from Arkansas, work with the pastor, but it's time to get my business up and rolling again too. It's the first time I've worked an hour job in 7 years. I've been around my own company. It's fairly good partner. Good build a house, siding, soft rotation, wheels. Pretty much everything but electrical and plumbing. So
I can interject a little for you, Mr. Orr. The one of the things that he needs is the approval of a conditional permit to to put the camper on the property, correct?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so when we spoke with me and Charlie, we've never actually done something like that before. And so we know it either has to go through the council or the Board of Adjustment. And so we told him this would be a good place to start. Kind of make you guys aware of the situation and then go from there. So
I guess one of the other problems is right now, you have the dogs on the property and you're living
At the Code C. And then we know there's an ordinance supposed to be passed tonight too. And we spent so much money, and like I said, if I can move down here for right around the time we have to pay there again, I've been giving them $600 a month, so 7 months I give them $4,000. We're only gonna have to pay 10.5 for this. The sooner I can get down here, then
Right.
all that money's coming off the note on what we owe, and then any side work I can take that down faster. So
Clinton, do you have any comment on the water line?
As long as it's not against ordinance to put that camper there and live in it. But I guess you could do it, like you said, an exceptional condition, but I do know that we have done that before up on North B Street. And I think over on 15th Street, there was a spot where there was a camper set up. We ran water and stuff to it. I will tell you that you'll have to have sewer too.
yeah, and right there, when you pull in that driveway, or right there in that yard, perfect slant, there's our sewer there. I can run it in a PVC. The line that's in there in a PVC pipe, and then let that go into a 90 because it's right there in that yard too, right there already. So it's like perfect location. I can hardly ask to get better.
So how soon are you looking to do this?
Well, I know it's it's kind of a prayer thing, but I mean, we do pay by the 6th down there. And I know that the ordinance for the dog's going to get passed probably maybe tonight. I don't know, but when that happens, then that's just going to make it that much harder to.
Yes, I don't think the ordinance is on the,
The ordinance is not on the agenda.
it's not on the agenda tonight.
Oh, it's not. So there is a little bit of time.
Right, yeah, you've got a little bit of time.
Okay. Yeah. But it is costing a lot of money to drive back and forth too, and sooner we can, get focused down here with our dogs and not hurt my wife and I have to run around while I'm at work and taking care of them. If I get home late, it would be easier.
Clinton, the ones that you did, was that through an ordinance or was that just council approval?
I'm not familiar with it. I am familiar that they were more of a temporary basis, like winter time. I think one was winter time and one may have been summertime where they would come up and park their camper and they had a water meter and everything to it. But I'm not for sure on that.
I was thinking it went through the Board of Adjustment.
That would be a special use exception.
And
Yeah.
it is only good for the maximum you can get is 18.
I think it's 18, yeah, it's 18
more
months.
investments. So. To, investments.
Yeah, we just formed that committee, so we can get a hold of them. And, there.
Okay.
And then, do you have the address down and everything?
Yeah, we do. No.
All right, so when's the next one, or we'll just,
Get with, yeah, I would say just get with my office, because I don't think we've had one in a couple of years.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
It takes a minute to get everything ironed out, that's with anything.
So we'll have one, we'll try to make it as soon as, people can meet, and then, we still have your contact information, we'll reach out, and make sure you're aware of it. Of course, we do the 24-hour postings, it'll be on our Facebook, on the boards around City Hall and whatnot, so.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
welcome to Louisiana. That's your council rep right there.
Well, nice to meet you. Thank you for hearing me tonight.
Also, my name is Glenda, that's Susan.
Glenda, well,
We do have a great need for carpenters here, people. Are waiting and waiting and waiting for work to be done.
Yeah.
So,
Multiple trades.
yeah.
yeah,
Please.
I'm doing it all. My pictures are on Facebook. I got good references, good Christians and elders that we were going to church with there in Pittsfield. We moved down to Arkansas last year. We built a nice cottage down the river for Pat Stenbeck, me and my wife last year, a couple years ago. So yeah, I grew up doing it. My dad's Danny Orff, Bowling Green, and he's been doing it all his life. Got raised on the farm and doing construction too, so jack of all trades, master of none.
Welcome to Louisiana.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
Making it happen in a year is, tough. Well, a good board can provide.
Are there any other comments?
I don't think that requires a public hearing, but I, adjustment meeting.
Yeah, we'll get on that. We'll make sure that happens. If there are no corrections needed to be made, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like signs. The agenda will stand as is. Chair will now entertain a motion to approve April 20th, 2026 special council meeting minutes.
So. I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next is the mayor's report. The only report that I guess I have is, we've got the committee, assigned, and hopefully we'll start making some arrangements and getting some committees started. Maybe get some progress in those. Other than that, I have nothing else to report. Chair will entertain a motion for the treasury report.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I have a couple of things in addition to the treasurer's report, and I will try to make it brief. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time to the citizens, they know the numbers I'm about to run along, so bear with me. First, I have the general update. The budget committee, it met 7 times, over the past, I'd say, month and a half, to address inflated revenues, overzealous spending trends. And Mayor Haddock has agreed to call a special meeting later this week on Friday for a final vote on the city budget for the 26-27 year. We finished it on Friday, and we were able to package it into the form that you guys all got tonight. That meeting this Friday was to give you guys at least a week to look over it, since we were kind of pushing it right to the line. So tonight I'll go through a little portion of the budget. If you guys have any preliminary questions, I know there's a couple things that people want to talk about. I'll take note of those, and then we'll make any corrections that are necessary, and then we'll come back on Friday. Citizen comments, council comments, anything. Just get to me as soon as you can, and we'll make any adjustments that we have to. Next I have our city clerk, who is also listed as, the city accountant, if you will, got her accounting degree this last week. So I just want to say congratulations to our city clerk, Riley Anderson. The last thing I have for the general update is something I've been working on for a couple months. Was the implementation of a new policy rule. There isn't any action required for it. I'm gonna kind of like just go over it. One of the first things I was told when I got here was I have to address conflicting personalities. I've had, issues myself. I've mediated issues, I've solved them, and then I've given up mediating issues that just couldn't be solved. I've accepted there are some things you cannot administrate your way out of. That policy was based on a book that I got to read. I know Mark knows this and Riley knows this. There is a resource I have available to me called the MCMA. It's the Missouri County, the Missouri City Administrators and Managers Association. We have an email chain that allows me to, shoot off random questions I have to every other city administrator and manager in the state. A couple of months back, I was creating our employee review, or employee performance review system, and I had reached out to the city administrator for West Plains, and I said, "Hey, what do you think? What do you guys have?" We talked back and forth, and he shared something with me called, I'm going to use the terminology they said I could say on the radio, and it was the no arsehole policy. Now, I was told by our city attorney I cannot call it that. I did try to call it that, so I do apologize. We changed it to the no caustic behaviors policy. I'm going to go over just a little highlight of it. It's now posted in every one of our departments for people to review, and essentially just in a giant summary, it is behavior that addresses toxic and deteriorating behaviors over time. So I will say it's not in any of your packets. I didn't want to spread any extra paper, but I can email it out to the council if necessary. The no caustic behavior policy is based on a book written by Robert Sutton in 2007. The word describes the type of person who engages in toxic behavior that is disrespectful, demeaning, and disruptive. People who act this way are a drain on their coworkers and create a hostile working environment and are just not fun to be around. Moving forward, our work environment will be one where no caustic behaviors are allowed because our job is public service and our residents deserve the best service we can get. It goes down and delineates some of these behaviors that supervisors in various organizations have identified as hurting the overall organization over time. And then at the end, it just says, what if you see someone, Mark and myself included, acting like that? And it's pretty simple. Just tell them they're acting like one, and they should know to behave. And I believe that we should be able to foster the type of work environment for both our employees and for our citizens, where our supervisors can take, constructive criticism from their subordinates and vice versa. So this is something I've been working on for a couple months, and normally I wouldn't share, a regular, policy update, but I just felt like it was warranted, and so I wanted to share you guys with that. So thank you. The next thing I have, street and grounds updates. Currently negotiating a grow together agreement with MoDOT to maintain all of their right of ways within city limits. MoDOT is very finicky with their different right of ways and whatnot, and so we want to make sure we're not causing an unnecessary liability for them, certainly not for ourselves. So we're currently negotiating one of those. When it's time to present that to you guys, as soon as we have it, I'll present it to the council. For Clinton Springs, there's a local nonprofit has a grow together agreement with MoDOT regarding the maintenance of Clinton Springs. The city is always available to help. We're willing to take over that agreement, but just currently at this time with that pre-existing agreement, we're not allowed to. So, we received no sealed bids for the roof repair. Yes, we did. Is it me? Okay. We received one sealed bid for it was this one, right? Okay, thank you. We received one sealed bid for the roof. The reason I'm not freaking out that it's not in my packet, it's my fault that it's not, is because due to current budget constraints, I'm going to recommend the council reject all bids. and seek new ones at a later date in the year, in accordance with the insurance policies and with our bidding structure. So, that's my recommendation. If the council chooses not to, accept one, then no action is necessary. And then if you do, I can have that brought back at the next meeting. Next, I'm going to include a new section in my city update called grant updates. It is going to include the creation of our comprehensive grant tracker. I've utilized our office assistant, Sarah, to help you compile about roughly 110 grant opportunities from around the state and at a national level. That tracks everything from the relevance of the grant to our compliance reporting. Right now, like I said, it has about 100 plus grant opportunities for it. And then finally, on the city update grant portion, I gave you guys the format in which I try to keep this very standardized. I gave you the format in which I'm going to present grant updates to the council on that monthly basis. And that format will follow during the month of, we'll say, August. We've applied for X number of grants totaling X number of dollars, and we have three, I'll say three or X number of outstanding grants. Additionally, we were awarded however many grants we were awarded in that period since I last reported, totaling whatever that amount is for the following purposes, and then I'll list the project specifics and the details. And then I will put our current approval rate for grants. I'll include the percentage for the 26-27 budget year. I will say for the first couple months, just have mercy on me, as that would be abysmally low, if not zero. So we have a couple in the works. I know Clinton, he is a grant writing machine. It won't include any of those. It'll just include general city grants. So, any questions so far? Yes, sir.
On the roof and your recommendation to go it about a year, is it viable to do that, or what shape is actually it in?
I don't recommend we forego it for a year. I think if we just put it off for maybe 3 to 6 months, there are measures that we can take. Essentially, we've been kind of chugging along this long. The worst part of rainy season has come and gone. To my understanding, I hear river towns get a lot more rain. I think we can make it another 3 to 6 months, but action to alleviate that problem should be taken certainly within the next budget year, and it is included in this current budget. I'm just recommending, based on some other numbers that I'll give to you guys later, that we should just postpone for now.
It might be where we would look at maybe partially doing, not the entire roof, but maybe a portion of it.
There are certainly portions that do need, and honestly, you could probably get by with doing just portions of the roof if the goal was simply to extend the life of it. If the council chose not to stay in this building or something like that, you could certainly extend the life of it with a smaller dollar amount figure. For that though, I would need to go back out for certain bids, or I would need to go out for new bids, because that would be a different type of work than the scope that we get on the first time.
So do we have any action that we have to do right now?
Not regarding that. No. Okay, license office update. The license office was open 18 days in the month of, it is May, in the month of May, and it generated $5,786 in fees across 385 transactions. The library was open 42 days in March and April. I had said the last regular meeting we were able to get March's report, so that's included in this. The library was open 42 days in March and April. Over those 2 months, it had 878 in-person patrons, 146 phone calls, 17 new library cards, 123 computer-only patrons with 18 community events. Lastly, before I jump to the budget, the treasurer's report. Total revenue collections for the city in April 2026, $252,579.16. And this is all included in the treasurer's report that is included in your packets. Total expenses, I will explain the 400 and something thousand difference in a second. $632,246.25. You're probably thinking, Cameron, why is there a $400,000 excess in our expenditures over our revenues? Simply put, we just paid for the street project that the previous council approved. It just came out of our account this month, and so that's the difference there. Total account balances for non-restricted funds, $330,628.52. Our total restricted funds is $771,409.09. I will put a little asterisk there and say about $330,000 of that is solely library CDs. About another $130,000 is cemetery CDs. And so you're only left with about $350,000 of just regular city CDs in our restricted funds account. Okay. Any questions before I move on to everyone's favorite portion? All right, there we go. This is not included as an item on my update. It is a monster all of its own. I'm going to start by saying thank you to the budget committee. Thank you to Clinton Keller for putting up with way more stupid questions than he gets paid to put up with. Thank you to Riley. And I will say honestly, thank you to a couple city administrators from just around the state that took very long late night calls, helped me. And then a special thank you to our treasurer, Alyssa Horton. She has had to deal with me more in the past 2 weeks than my own life. And then finally, thank you to my wife for putting up with me during that time, although I was not home much. This is your a draft of your consideration of the City of Louisiana 26-27 operating budget. You'll notice it's in a format a little different than Louisiana councils have received their budgets ever. This is my format for a professional city budget. As long as I intend to be here, unless the council requests something different, this is the format in which I plan to present it. Again, for the public, a copy of this, the full 24-page document is available. It's available on request, even tonight. If anyone in the public wants a copy of it, I can get one. This will come down there afterwards. I'll print it out, or I can just email it to you. So, table of contents. It's clearly it's neat, organized, tells you where everything you need in the entire document is going to be. The first 7 or 8 pages is really where the crux of the information is, and then after that, it's a line-by-line breakdown of almost every line item that isn't self-explanatory in the city's entire budget. My budget message. The Budget Committee and City Treasurer respectfully submit the budget book for the City of Louisiana, Missouri for the budget year June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027. This budget book was prepared across 7 budget meetings during April and May 2026. Budget numbers are presented as provided in the worksheets and are not adjusted. The city revenue total shown in the summary sheet for projected revenues is $2,540,735.05. The city expenditure total shown in the summary sheet is $2,540,481.09. Below that, you will notice the elected officials, leadership, and the composition of the budget committee. For my vision statement, in contrast to the 25-26 budget year, the city will see no major street improvement projects or large equipment purchases. The 26-27 fiscal year will be a year of maintenance and rebuilding. With current unrestricted city reserves functionally at zero, it is our intention to plateau rising personnel costs, reorganize departments to maximize efficiency, and explore alternate sources of revenue. These administrative changes will allow us to streamline our services, cut costs from our departments, and rebuild our cash reserves. Additionally, we'll be better equipped to implement a realistic comprehensive plan for our community that will drive tourism and economic development. I will not lie when I say the financial situation of the city coming into the 5th, 6th, and 7th budget meetings was not a kind one. I'm grateful that only the 5 or 6 people that were there had to see it. And I'm happy to say that thanks to the hard work of everybody included, the budget you have before you is of course a balance. With no currently employed employee losing their job. That would seem like the bare minimum for doing a budget. It is. But us being able to pull that off required more than the bare minimum level of effort. Below that, you have an organizational chart. Of course, the citizens, council, mayor, and then it goes down from there. Below that, the budgeting process, just to remind the citizens kind of what got us to this 24-page document. About 2 months ago, each department their supervisors submitted a list of wants and needs for the upcoming year. Then myself, the mayor, for the police department, and Chief Baker, we reviewed the requests with each supervisor. Then we did a first draft of the new operating budget, it was compiled by myself and City Treasurer Horton. Then the budget committee started meeting over multiple sessions, and public input. Alyssa and I developed a final draft for review. We did that last Thursday at about 1 a.m. That was the first time in the budget. So we already had 6 budget meetings. That was the first time the budget was balanced. After a final review and alterations by the committee, CIS B and C, under line 4, they're repeated as needed. Thankfully, this time they will only need to be repeated once. Then the committee voted to allow me to recommend this budget to the council. We are now at step 5. So on Saturday evening, after review from Mayor Haddock and Treasurer Horton, I electronically sent all of you the proposed budget. It's now the final regular council meeting of the 25-26 year. And I'm here to receive alterations that you guys would like to see here for the budget. And then on Friday, there'll be a special meeting for the budget. Now, before I get into raw numbers, any questions? Yes.
I think at this point, it'd be nice to note that going into this in the very beginning, our operating expenses were way more than what our revenue coming in. You're going to go with that?
Which it's not included in here, just because that was a part of the budgeting process. I can't include that number.
I would think that would be important to the county people to know that, and then knowing that we had cuts that we had to do, maybe some of the bigger cuts that we had to do, some of those things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go over that.
Yes, so, running myself back to step 4 of the budget committee, when we received, between steps A and B is where a lot of the work was done on line 4. When we finally received all input from various sources, we had gone through every individual recurring expense in the entire city. Before anything was cut, before anything at all. So this was once needs in this list included, and I'm going to only mention things that were cut. Your police car, I believe the vehicle was K9 was cut. A new skid steer, a street and grass department, which has now been consolidated maintenance department. A new truck, when and I think the younger truck they have out there is 20 years old. Several additions, several additional staff positions were requested. I will do something slightly out of the ordinary now. Does anyone in the public want to give a guess at how out of balance the initial draft of the budget was?
I'll take a stab at it.
What do you got for me, Mr. Baker?
North of 300,000.
I'm gonna need you to go a little higher.
Okay, 400,000.
$510,000.
$10,000.
From the expense to the revenue,
$510,000 net.
out of whack.
Mhm.
Is this the US government we're talking about or?
I'm going to have a very human moment here. When we finished the initial balanced budget on Thursday night, I cried. And I mean, I have no problem admitting that. I cried. I was laying on my bed. I think my eyes, if I closed them, had a spreadsheet just glued to my retinas. I cried because the budget I had balanced included the removal of 6 current people. Thankfully, the budget you have before you does not include that. And thank you, Mayor Haddock, for asking me to include this portion. Just so you know, like the level of work that went into getting this here, it was drastically, how my generation says, out of whack. It took a lot to get to this balanced budget without cutting people that currently exist. And I will say there are positions listed in the back of my mind, in the back of other departments' minds, that should the current person in that position leave, it won't be refilled. But I really am proud to say that there won't be any layoffs June 1st, should the council choose to approve this budget. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. This wasn't done this time around with smoke and mirrors, okay? We have 2 CPAs in the budget committee. and both looked at the numbers and both came to the same conclusions. And I want to compliment Susan and Tanya Shepherd for the deep dive that they did into these numbers, because it was, I'm not a numbers guy, I'm more a process guy. And without their input, this would have been just an arduous exercise. And they deserve a lot of credit for tearing this apart. So the point I want to make to the public is that what you see here is the reality of it. And it's not to blame anybody, it's not to cast aspersions, it's just the numbers don't lie. And we're gonna have to move forward with this, but it's time to move forward. I remember an old saying from the military: you can cry and moan and complain all you want. The enemy's still at the top of the hill, and when you're running out of bullets, what are you gonna do? And we're kind of at that point right now. The enemy's at the top of the hill. We're running out of bullets. How are we going to fix this? And it's fixable, but it's going to take time.
That's me. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Tanya and I looked it over, it's what we do for a living. But I think where a lot of credit goes is to Alyssa, Cameron, and Clinton.
Yeah.
When we asked what is in this line item, they would tell us completely, they knew, just boom, boom, boom. Clinton was able to come up with some history on things that we didn't know. We're like, what about this? And he said, well, yeah, but in the past we've had issues. Their input was just fantastic. I was so impressed, and I dealt with a lot of people over my 40-something years, and to tell you, we've got some really good people. Have you been financially?
And I think that the big thing out of this is now we have a budget process, which is something we really kind of had, but didn't have, and now we have a formalized process in place. That's why it was so important to get a budget committee or a finance committee or whatever you want to call it, reestablished back on the council to have eyes on this, because the council appropriates the money. And they have our input plus the department inputs who are the day-to-day professionals who do this. I think I was just really impressed with how everybody embraced the process.
I'm going to add another point to Director Keller. He was also able to add some history in the terms of expenditures that hadn't existed historically, over 5, 10, 20 years. Some things that essentially wouldn't appear on the surface to be waste that are. And so we were able to take those things into consideration, and just big thank you to him.
Are you gonna go through each one of the,
I am not going to go through each like that.
wait, are you gonna go through each department or anything?
Just can, if the council wishes, yes.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll open up your eyes a little bit, and this is just the city side of the budget. We also have the enterprise
Yes. And-
budget also.
I would ask the citizens, please, if you want to request it from me via email, or you want to request it like electronically, I can get it to you. But I know John is very happy that he is not looking at a book full of spreadsheets again. Further in the line items, they really do have explanations for what each one of those covers. And I'll give an example of for each department as I go through. Any more questions? Okay, there we go. Budget dashboard. City revenues again, $2,540,735.05. City expenditures are $253, or the net budget is $253.96 into the black. The next two charts you will see are, the first one is the revenues by department. Pretty average. I would say about 80% average in comparison to other municipalities. Most money, of course, does come from general, sales tax and real estate taxes. Then you have city expenditures by department. As you look through it, our city debt service and restricted funds is a pretty high consideration. It is justifiable because we had citizens several years ago approve specific taxes to handle those debts. And so while it does look to be, and it is in the almost $300,000 range, it is something that is maintainable.
Can you reference which page you're on and
I am on page 6. Sorry.
what chart?
Yes, I'm on a city expenditure by department chart at the top of page 6. A couple of those expenditures, maintenance department, G&A, police, they do have a little bit of room in terms of general waste that can be cut. Conversations have been had, Mayor had with the police department, myself with my department heads regarding exactly what that looks like. And then, of course, the idea of combining street and grounds. There was a lot of, division. I don't mean between the employees or anything. Like with CarQuest, there was an account for streets, an account for grounds. A lot of just administrative work on our end that we can cut through now. A lot of, extra tinkering that the guys out there have to do that we don't have to do anymore because we just call it maintenance and we'll move on with our days. The maintenance department will be taking over the maintenance of all city vehicles. Something I probably, would assume citizens figured already happened. It is going to be happening now. Moving into the next budget year. Things like that shifting around, making better priorities, other types of things that are reflected in this budget. Department revenue and expense totals. I'm not going to read through every one of these numbers. I'm going to call your attention to maintenance department under expense total. I'm always happy to admit when I was wrong. I made a mistake in printing this out and formatting it. I did not include the maintenance department in the expense total. I have that number ready, if anyone would like to write it down.
Yep.
639,539.34.
What is it again?
Say
I'm sorry.
600.
Right, the 3, 2, 1.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. $603,539.34. So,
Income come from.
their income, they have a special tax for the. I will move down to their sheet. I want to give you a specific answer. The state gas tax and the road and bridge tax. Yes, ma'am. Okay. From the Department of Revenue and Expense totals, that is essentially close to a comprehensive picture as you will get in the city's budget without going in line for line. Below that is the capital projects budget. Yes, sir.
Just so a note, on the police department, you'll notice that income total is 94,900. Their expense total is 676,574. They probably took the brunt of the cuts. They requested 2 extra policemen that they probably are not going to get, a police car that they're not going to get. So just wanted to note that.
For the capital improvement budget, most of these are not traditional capital improvement projects. And you might look at me and you might say, hey, Cameron, the budget's really tight. Why do we have a bunch of capital improvement projects? First, they're not capital improvement projects in the traditional sense. First is for the administration department. I am technically a department head over City Hall. That $102,500 expense is for the roof repair for City Hall. Now, a good portion of that is from an insurance claim, and should we do the work, we can get, I don't remember the exact terminology for it, Clinton. Very fine, for the roof for the insurance claim. When
With appreciation.
Yes.
What you get back after you replace it. Basically, it's to issue a check, and if you don't replace it, that you're cashing out.
Yeah.
If you get it fixed, they pay you more. It's depreciation.
Okay, thank you.
Recoverable depreciation.
Okay, thank you. And this is the type of help he was able to offer during the budget meetings. So the depreciation will get us up to almost that $100,000. We have received a check for $53,000 from the insurance. Just currently, and I'm just going to be very honest about it, there is not enough money in our general reserve or in our general account for the city to perform that repair. And that's why I recommend the council not move forward at this time. So that's the biggest capital improvement project. Below that, animal control. We have extra flooring in City Hall. They were budgeted $200 for any extra materials that it might take for the maintenance department to go out and put in flooring in the office and the animal shelter. The police department has a $500 budget for, and all these are included in a line item. Yes, sir.
Flooring in the animal control.
Yes. It was one of the requests that we received from the department head. And it was able to be worked in because the materials are already acquired. And honestly, I think the $200 will be unnecessary.
I don't think it's needed. I feel.
And it doesn't
Extra
have- yeah.
cleanliness and everything, that's just an added cleanliness and
Of
with
course.
his rules with the Department of Ag.
Of course.
Yeah, I think maybe an epoxy flooring maybe or something like that because of,
Regular flooring, I think, would be out of Department of Ag's.
right, because of,
Of course.
power spraying, stuff like that. I think that would,
And these are all considerations when going in to complete those projects. Like I said, each one of these items is under a line item called building improvement and maintenance. So it isn't automatically like, essentially, we don't have to rewrite the budget if the council decides that project is unnecessary. Or if it doesn't meet certain requirements from the state and whatnot, we don't have to do that. For the police department, they're budgeted $500 for the completion of their lobby on the third floor. The fire department was budgeted $20,000 for replacement of the roof on the fire department. My justification for this is very simple. We can't expect them to go and save houses from burning down in wet gear. If their roof is leaking, then I feel like that's the least we can do for our volunteer fire department. Is make sure they have a dry place to store their gear. License office. We budgeted $20,000 for a license office remodel. I will note the license office does have its own checking account. Currently, there's about $60,000 in there, give or take $5,000. That $20,000 does come out of there and not projected revenues. That is included, of course, in the line items and line by line. That is, I think, for me, the most exciting thing that we'll do over the next year is get the license office into a state where it's more accessible for those that utilize it, where it's more convenient, and where our staff can operate a little bit more efficiently. Any questions on any of those? On the next page, we have debt schedules. This is every future payment for our 2018 stormwater COP and our 2018 transportation COP. These payments were made twice a year, once in June and once in December. And they total, I believe it was about $180,000 per year. We will be making payments on the 2018 stormwater until 2031, and we'll be making payments on the 2018 transportation until 2038. Next, I am not going to read every line, but just to give council ideas and citizens the request on this budget, which again, I really highly encourage them to. The budget summary for the city. General administrative proposed revenues are roughly $7 million. Animal controls revenues are roughly $11,000. Police departments, $94,900. Code enforcement, $24,000 even. The maintenance department, $239,162. Economic development has no income. Fire department's proposed income is $3,000. Emergency management has no income. The library department's proposed income is $74,526.81. License office's proposed income is $92,300. Again, no income for health department, and our city debt service and restricted funds total income $303,950, and that's where you get to that 2.54 million mark for total city income. Now, we're getting to total expenditures. This is the part where I want to reflect. So maintenance department's $239,000. That income is primarily reflected by the motor fuel tax. Each one of these lines, library $74,000. This summary line is composed of property taxes, interest income, and funds from reserves. License office. This summary line is composed of agent fee revenue and a $20,000 carryover from previous years. City expenditures for general and administrative. $604,417.73. That covers all administrative employees, elected officials, and the city hall roof remodel. As I go through the expenditures on the general total, each one of these lines, again for citizen reference, for council reference, each line has an explanation of what primarily makes up that line. And they do get more detailed when you go into the department by department analysis. For police department, proposed expenditures, $676,574.29. Code enforcement, $65,438.25. Maintenance department, $603,539.34. Economic development expenditures, $2,100. Fire departments, $133,607. Emergency management, $1,750. Libraries expenditure, $75,995.33. License office, $89,189.31. Health, $4,000, and our city debt service and restricted funds, $224,635.68. Getting you to that 2.540 estimated total for expenditures. Take a breather here. Any questions on the general summary? Just a reminder, I'm not going to go line by line for each category, but I will kind of point out a couple things that I think really allows the citizens and the council to, and then I say mainly the citizens, understand exactly where their money is being spent.
What page you?
I am on page 9. I'm turning on to page 10.
Okay.
On page 10, so we'll say, okay, total, this is the general administrative income, regular salaries is a line item, $217,193. This funds 3 appointed officers and 2 support staff positions. We'll jump down a little bit. I'm going to, I'll say you don't have to follow along with me as I jump through them. I'm going to jump through very quickly. Personal safety equipment for City Hall, $200. This covers the employee wellness cabinet. That's Tylenol, Band-Aids, similar items like that. Office print supplies, $3,000. This covers a general office and printing supplies, paper, sticky notes, staples, pens. Office equipment, $3,000. This covers a contracted printer service on the first floor. The city contracts out their printer service. We are in year 3 of a 7-year agreement. I think most people would assume City Hall owned their own printer. We do not. At least not a giant one as you see in most office buildings. CPU software, $13,500. This covers a Civic Plus website redesign, our access to the assessor's page, accounting software, and .gov emails for all elected officials, appointed staff at a cost of $8 each per month. Advertising, $4,000. Required publication changes. This covers required publication charges for posting the end of year and mid-year financials. Every line item that is not self-explanatory, that I could not explain to myself as if I was in kindergarten at 1 a.m., and that's a very, very low bar, it has an explanation for it in the entire budget. And that is why I encourage 1,000 times over, I'll say it again 1,000 times between now and Friday, citizens, please request this budget. I'll send it out. After the meeting tonight, I will post the entire 24-page thing on Facebook. I am a firm believer in not governing by Facebook. I say that in reference back to the Civic Plus website redesign. You guys are probably going, Cameron, what is that? It is something I'll be bringing to you probably at the next council meeting. A website redesign that will allow, again, a part of that organizational, that system-wide reorganization where citizens can, say Citizen X comes in and they want to request information via Sunshine Law. Say a week prior, they've also reported a pothole, and say a month prior, they've also put in a complaint on a city employee. All 3 of those concerns with the city could all be at different phases. They also may have 10 years of concerns with the city, and they will be able to access the history of all of their concerns, where the city is at in addressing those concerns, and where all of their current concerns are, updates and whatnot. And we'll also be able to push out notifications to them in real time. And so that's what the Civic Plus website redesign is. And so when we're looking at this whole $2.5 million budget, going through it line by line, it's very digestible now. It's not just a list of hundreds and hundreds of lines and columns of spreadsheets. It breaks it down from a $2.5 million budget to a website redesign that'll help our citizens understand, why the maintenance department had to fix a pothole on, A, B, C, or D street. It'll help them understand what we spend on legal expense. This is the part where I'm going to go really quick through it. It'll help them understand that we pay for animal control about $1,400 in workers' comp insurance per year. It'll help them understand that what is donated to the police department on a yearly basis. It'll help them understand what type of personal equipment that the police department is, or personal protective equipment the police department's getting, what type of, we'll say, I'm just finding random ones here, how much the phone service with a code enforcement officer costs. It breaks all of this down line by line again in something that is easily digestible, which I feel like we've been missing. As I skip through even more, other things I will call your attention to. We have to budget $500 a year for vandalism repairs on page 17. On page 18, that whole page is comprised of the economic development budget with zero income, but it does have $2,100 spent for our dues to the Pike County Economic Development Association. It breaks down the pagers for the fire department, firefighters, how much their roof is going to cost, new turnout gear. There are some small things in your small equipment, large equipment in the fire department that don't have explanations because it's small and large equipment and this can be reflected in various different departments. It's just necessary for the continued operation and the current standard of services we provide. For the emergency management budget on 20, you'll see $1,750 for the sirens, for new ones, and then for their utilities throughout the year. The library, you'll see that through meeting with the library board and having conversations with them, we were able to appropriately utilize funds in their reserve account for the appropriate usages, which is something the library had wanted. A lot of the department has wanted voice in the budget, and we were able to offer that. On page 22, and I'm nearing the end, I promise. The license office income budget. Fees, we expect about $72,000 in fees. $20,000 allocated from previous budgets. Medical, other than workers' comp, covers random drug testing expenses. And then on the final page, 24, debt service. If you told us regular citizen, I mean, no offense, what are prisoner identification expenses? I wouldn't know. It's just for fingerprinting, and it just says this covers fingerprinting. Hotel, motel, consulting expense. That's all the expenses for the tourism commission. And so I will repeat this again. Every line item in this over 500 line item budget, and I've been up here for a minute and I'm closing. It's broken down into something that's digestible. It's broken down line by line. And the most basic, humane. Here's what we're operating with. I think in one line I even tell you how many extensions one department has. I really broke this down. I really want citizens to understand. I want the council, I want you guys to understand what it is we're working with. So you know that when I say we nickel and dime this budget to protect people's jobs, we did that. But we also designed a path forward so that next year won't look the same. Next year we'll have hopefully a little in reserves. And then the year after that, I'll be able to actually put money on the 2 reserves line item in G&A. It's not pretty. It has a nice cover. But to reiterate what Councilman Phillips said, besides the pretty cover, it wasn't fun with smoke and mirrors. It's a harsh truth. My department heads are not for the most part happy with me. That is okay. As Mayor Haddock put it, that's what I get paid in my big buck. So this is our city budget, and we respectfully submit this for your guys' consideration for 26-27 budget year. I can take questions, comments, concerns, we can throw them. Yes, Mr. Baker?
The big ask, are you going to do property or personal taxes for the citizens?
I'm going to answer that very directly. It is not off the table. I'm not giving a yes or no, not because I am trying to dodge the question. I'm not giving a yes or no because we haven't deemed if it's necessary. And I will leave it at that. We haven't deemed if it's necessary or not yet, but it is not off the table to bring for my office to bring that proposal to the council. I will say doing such a thing would not be done lightheartedly. It would of course ultimately be up to the citizens, whether or not to do something like that. And again, that's a whole process, but our attempt in cutting the amount that we cut is to at all means prevent something like that from happening. Because the last thing that citizens need, I will say, is another tax increase. So yes, sir.
Go ahead. Somebody else had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the big challenge is we've got a revenue problem.
Everybody
And-
has a revenue.
And I think the last thing we want to do, and I know my principle always has been, we don't balance the budget on the backs of the citizens. Okay, and so there are a lot of other options that we have that we can start generating some short-term, some revenue, you know, in the shorter term. But this is gonna be a challenge. It is. I mean, we got more going out than we got coming in. And unless we can address that problem as a government, it's gonna continue to be a challenge. It's just, that's the reality of it. And nobody wants to hear that, but that's the reality of it. No buck Rogers.
I will say the fact that I am able to present a balanced budget to the council this evening is a very good sign that it will not happen.
Right.
That means we were able to find a way out. I can tell you right now, there are two systems, just administrative systems that we don't have for one reason or another. We don't have pay scales, for instance. There is not a progressive pay scale for city employees. This doesn't exist. That's something that, you know, I'll be designing over the next 2 months. There is not a, you know, an organized system for which we apply for grants and things like that. Things like that, the systems to do things that municipalities traditionally rely on they don't exist here. And so creating those systems will allow us to, like I said, we balanced the budget this year. We can get those systems up and running. It's a very good sign because we have this extra year essentially. It's a very good sign that we don't have to. So.
Also, I'll add that we have a spending freeze going on right now, so any big items or anything.
And in layman's terms, that just all, no department heads, myself included, are allowed to do any level of discretionary spending. Everything has to have approval directly from Mayor Haddock. So we are doing our best to run a tight ship to ensure that, again, that we don't have to do that. So please believe me when I say it is not my intention to bring such a proposal to the council. If it does come to that, it won't be done with a light heart, but it does not appear that it will be necessary at this point. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to just say, the second tower we had that we were receiving rent from was sold. So we also lost about $50,000 of income that the city's always had before. And so we also had to find where to pull that up, because that also hurts. So we did have a lot of obstacles to get over. And I feel good, but I feel like we did a good job and, you know, hopefully even our sales tax revenue will go up.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? I've been up here for
I
a
would
little
like to
bit now.
thank everybody for what they've done. It's
Thank
just
you.
really impressive to hear what you have to say and to know what you all have been through. So be able to look at this and understand it.
Thank you.
I have something about Clinton Springs, so should Mike not go down there and mow it anymore then, or?
I'll say Mike and I, we've discussed it, what I had said,
Is John Krager's helping too?
I'll repeat, what I said to him, which was the city, could be in trouble, in a liability sense. Say we go down and we mow, it rains and a family coming up, scenic byway stops, we left some grass clippings, they slip, fall, their kids lost their head on the wall. And they go, okay, who mowed this last? We only mow, MoDOT's like, who mowed this last? We only mow ours twice a year. That's totally reasonable. So where do we go from here? And they'll find out, we mowed it, we're technically liable for that. An individual citizen is not, they're not alleviated of that liability, but MoDOT is more likely to look at an individual citizen mowing it and saying, okay, they're doing a gesture of goodwill for their community, rather than the city going and mowing it. Because then they'll see the city mowing it as okay, taking on another, I guess, like a green space maintenance. I can't say that citizens are allowed to do it.
Well, I was just wondering,
yeah.
because I know it's the Concerned Citizens that has the
Okay.
the paperwork with state now, because you
Okay.
Mike, and then they switched it over to the Concerned They switched it over to Concerned Citizens. So I was just wondering if it was up to their group to keep it maintained.
That is my understanding. Should that group choose to alleviate that contract with the state, then the city can go in and an intersection agreement with it or with the state for that area. But since that agreement already exists, we can't supersede or we can't even honestly ask the group to drop that agreement. So
And that's all it takes for that group to just write a letter saying that we don't want it anymore.
yes,
And then they would be alleviated to that.
yes,
So,
so
and then we have an appointment actually with MoDOT tomorrow
yes.
that we will discuss that in more depth.
Yes, so, does that answer the, okay.
Speaking of the concerned citizens, because I had somebody ask me earlier, who is that group? Because there's been so many committees, like, I think I know, but I'm not gonna.
I don't have a clear enough answer, to answer in my capacity as administrator. I do not intend to be a smart enough when I say this. It's my best understanding that it's just a small group of concerned citizens. It is no secret that Louisiana has had problems, a consistent number of years. It's my understanding that the group exists as concerned citizens for those problems that have happened in our community over the past year. So
It's on record at Secretary of State, you can look it up.
So I can take any other questions about the budget or anything else I presented.
So when people come to us with problems with their property, the last one that I had is kind of a mixture between the police department and code enforcement. Who should I go to? Because I don't want to step on their toes and get in trouble and,
Yeah.
but
The
which word?
official chain of command, so the code enforcement officer, Charlie Smith, she answers to Josh Baker. Josh Baker is, of course, the police chief. All administrative functions for the police department, are by ordinance handled by Mayor Haddock.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So like this particular lady, there was no communication between code and police, and she kept getting run off her property.
Mhm.
And she had had water there for 2.5 months, and code enforcement did not know it, and so I had called twice to get her water turned back on.
Again, I'm trying to avoid the same problem. In my professional opinion, I would, just as an administrator looking at departments, I would say, there's a communication problem there, which would amount to an administrative concern. I would take that to Mayor Haddock.
Okay, gotcha.
I will say most things can be, I think I would say chopped up to an administrative concern, with the, various operational issues I have seen. Most of them just require a system to solve the problem, and once that system's in place, I was given some very good advice once. It was people follow the path of least resistance. They're like electricity. Once that system's in place, give them 2 or 3 weeks and they're fine. That's really all a lot of what's missing. It's just that administrative part that Mayor Haddock handles.
And I can say that the problem that we have is we have ordinances in place, but they have been. And that's one of the things.
Well, I have another lady that at least twice a week is sending me pictures of Georgia Street with the vehicles parked on the sidewalk, and she's seen some lady with her stroller and a baby have to walk out almost into the street to go around one of them, and she was highly upset about that. And
That is being addressed, and
I don't even know where she lives.
there's been quite a few tickets being issued, and I think the first ones are going to court this Friday.
And what about mailing tickets? I mean, that seems to me like if your weeds are high and I'm gonna mail you a ticket, by the time you pick that ticket up at the post office, your weeds are gonna be twice as high. I don't even go pick them up at the post office, so I'm just saying, but it takes so long for them, that people to pick them up. By the time they do, the place is in a whole lot worse mess than it was at the beginning.
I would say again, that seems like there may be a better option, for how to treat those tickets to citizens, of the administrative concern.
It's like $13 a pop. I mean, I've got people.
And when I say we nickel and dime portions of the budget, one of those things we do is we mail out business licenses. When it's feasible, we're going to, nobody freak out, we're gonna stop doing it, you know. If I'm looking out the window, gets auto shot, they come in for their business license, you can just come back and pick it up. For all Louisiana-based businesses, they can come back and pick it up. Now, I understand some people, you know, may have a business here and they live, you know, in Nevada or not even in this country, and that's okay. We can mail those out, but you would not believe the amount of money that was costing us. We need to say, hey, you know, come back tomorrow and pick it up, and we can do that. So those are the types of things that we really looked into with the budget. So I can keep doing this. Any more questions?
I don't think so. So I think that was the last one.
Anybody else?
I think too, if we get more efficient with like the tickets and those kinds of things, that's a revenue opportunity where we establish a more efficient way of collecting revenue. I mean, I've been driving around the last couple of days and I noticed there are a lot of yards that need attention. I'm being charitable. And
Cannot be ran as a business
you know, and
or
if
to generate revenue.
I'm sorry.
Nothing.
And I think we can be more efficient with that. Again, not being being a burden to people, but, you know, and then coupled with some of the other things that we need to do with respect to bringing businesses in and things like that. I think we can get over the hump.
And some of them are safety issues.
Yeah,
Like
some are-
grass being blown in the street. I'm sure it's like a couple houses on Georgia Street doing that. They're not sweeping their sidewalks off and they're leaving
Right.
grass in the street. And that's dangerous when it gets wet. Somebody's gonna face plant.
Yeah. I would say, Chief Baker could speak a little more to it.
Yeah.
I can add, especially for like citizen reference, that it is statutorily required that no more than a certain percent of police department revenues, come from fines and things like that. And so, I do not think, and, I'm gonna speak slightly on Chief Baker's behalf here, and I don't mean to step on any
No.
toes. John, if you're watching, I apologize. Yeah, I don't think it's his intention to do that. But again, it's just statutorily, I believe it's 10 or I think it's 10%. No more than 10% of the police department's revenue can come from fines and things like that. And so, not only is it not his intention, it's just not possible to do. So. Anything else? All right. Thank you guys for listening to me for 45 minutes. Again, final thing, any questions, comments, concerns, any alterations you'd like to see done to the budget? If let me know, then otherwise I'll see you guys again on Friday. Thank you.
That one looks good.
Yeah.
Mark, before you move on, we still need to vote on the treasurer.
Yes, I was gonna do that.
Making sure.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report, including the city and enterprise warrants. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the enterprise director's report.
Talking less than me. I can do it again. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Oh, okay. Yeah, myself here. All right, so I'm gonna start on the enterprise report.
So I'm gonna kind of skip through this a little bit. I'm not gonna go cover everything. We're already in our 15 minutes, so. For the enterprise report, general report, our raw water, I'm gonna skip around on underwater treatment plant, raw water telemetry, clear well, level system upgrade. Both of those have been ordered, they're scheduled to be here in the morning for installation, they gotta do some electrical work. And then they'll be installing the hardware itself, and then that'll be up hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. I actually had already printed this up and had it ready to go before they had contacted us about the scheduled date of. Wastewater treatment plant, Trojan UV system repair. So if the council, if you're not aware, we spent roughly $90,000 on our upgrade of our, that was on one phase of it. On our upgrade system, we had a hydraulic leak develop. The company came down, found the hydraulic leak. They pulled the UV system up out of the treatment, the hole that sits in the treatment hole, I will call it. And when they pulled it up, they had realized that there's a wiper mechanism. So it's a series of light bulbs, 4 of them on each sleeve. And there's a wiper that slides across it and then goes back and it retracts and it cleans the UV bulb off itself. That wiper had failed and caused significant damage to that whole setup. I am happy to say though, they warranted it, parts of it ordered, and those will be coming in. So that is it. They're going to replace that at their expense. So we won't be seeing any bills for that. And so that's a good thing for us. Moving to the distribution system, meter purchases. I did go ahead and order approximately another $20,000. It was $21,000 to be exact in new water meters. We did get that bill. It's paid, and that was part of a past council approval. What we did was we approved for $87,500. I initially did $50,000 worth of meters because I didn't want to have an abundance of meters just sitting in the shop. We got those installed, so I went ahead and ordered it. I went ahead and ordered another 100 more. And that leaves about $10,000 left. I'm thinking we won't have to extend that $10,000. We should be in a good stance after we receive these other 100, and we should be. The sewer replacement on South Fifth Street, I couldn't remember if I touched on this with the council, but that has been completed, paved, and opened back up. And it turned out really well. Lead service inventory. So this is the big one under distribution. The report's being finalized, submitted to DNR. We had to take everything from Schulte Supply in an Excel sheet format and transition it over to DNR's format. It has been a lot of work. There's like 1,580 and that you have to go through and then select that on the DNR's formatted the way they want that request to come in. It's just about wrapped up. I think there is 60 more left that we have to do, and then that report will be made available to the council. Going on to the SRF grant application. So this is a big thing for us. I'm going to, and I can't remember the exact order, but I did supply these to you guys. This came from Nico Engineering. What it is I'm requesting approval to apply for a grant for $5 million in a lead service replacement and $50,000 in a replacement plan. We are considered a high-risk county, which opens us up for grant money that is available. Resolution 15-2026 will be presented under new business. But to kind of touch on this, you're probably wondering how I come up with $5 million and $50,000. So because we got the initial inventory process, we've got that under a grant from DNR. And we're a high-risk county that almost 100% qualifies us to receive this next part of the grant. Per DNR, because you have to have the replacement plan in order to figure out what the cost is going to be. Well, they're taking that grant application as a whole. So unless the municipality has a on-site engineer in order to put a plan together, we have no way to calculate a price. So per DNR, they suggested that I put $5 million on the lead service replacement amount and then a $50,000 in the replacement plan. Anytime you do work to your water system, if you look at this program highlights from MECO, 100% of design and construction costs, you have to have an engineer confirm put your plans together before you can submit it to DNR. So as of right now, the SRF grant application covers the engineering portion and the replacement portion. There is one question that I still have that I haven't gotten an answer for. I know that property owners were requested to provide information on what they had inside, and we had to provide information for the outside of the residence. I'm waiting for them to give me an answer if that 5 million is part of that inside portion of it too. There's a reason why they inventoried it. I would assume that it is to make sure that galvanized requiring replacement and lead is out of citizens' homes also. And then the map is just a map of the high risk counties in Missouri, and Pike County is one of them. So it's a big thing. I'm hoping by the sounds of it, from what I've been told through this whole process, which started in October of 24, I'm almost confident that we're going to get that $5 million. And so that will take care of our replacement and our replacement plan and get it taken care of completely. All enterprise facilities. So the city, we completed a comprehensive energy efficient analysis across all the enterprise facilities. It was at no cost. We're currently waiting a final report, but the preliminary observations include recommendations such as motion activated lighting. So basically our 2 plants, the lights are on 24/7. They're in and out. And I will say they don't do the best job of shutting them off. It's nothing against them. I do it too when I go down there. So they recommended things like motion detected lights when they walk in, they kick on, have a time delay of 10 minutes or so, they kick off. They said just a rough number would cut our lighting bill just on our lights portion of 40% if we had something like that.
Wow.
So that's a huge number. And I'm waiting, like I said, I'm waiting for that report to come back. He said it would take a few weeks, but and additional opportunities for improvement may be identified upon receipt of that final report. Going on to the next one, I'm not very pleased about this. I went on vacation with my family on Thursday, come back today, and Danes has submitted a request for trash rate increase of 65 cents per customer. Per the contract, section 1.33, it states contract prices are valid for 2 years and are subject to negotiation in the 3rd and 4th year of the contract, except as noted. I'm kind of skipping down. It says extraordinary increases in fuel costs, and they're wanting to do a 65-cent increase per customer based off an extraordinary cost, an increase in fuel costs. I do want to share an email that I did send, just so everyone's aware of my stance on it. So we deal with Lindsay from Danes. I said, Lindsay, I've received Danes' request for the 65-cent per customer rate increase. Before I can prepare a recommendation for council, I need additional documentation supporting how this increase is calculated, including specific factors used to determine the proposed adjustment. Additionally, please clarify whether under the terms of this contract, any approved increases related to fuel costs will be subject to reduction if fuel prices decrease in the future. I want to ensure we are not placing an ongoing burden on customers if the underlying cost drivers reverse. At this time, I'm not comfortable moving forward with the consideration of an extraordinary increase in fuel costs without clear supporting data and a defined understanding of how both increase and potential decreases would be handled under our agreement. And then I told them that I needed all information no later than Friday, the 29th, in order for it to be approved by council. Per our contract, the council does have to approve any kind of rate increase. But I will tell you, past experience, it was January, February, they requested a 15% increase and was never able to provide how that figure was come up with. So I want black and white documentation. I just can't do it. I do know fuel increase come up. It is up. We can go to the gas pump every day. We know what it is, but I need to see how they figure that out. And I also need to see if gas price goes down in 2 months, can we drop that back down? So that's kind of where
That 15% increase request, was that granted?
no, they were never able to provide, so we did a cost of living at that time for 2 years. And I think it was 2.6 to it was like 5.1% total.
Right.
It was. Yeah, I did something along that lines. I may not be exact, but it was close to that. And that was because I could do a consumer price index, and I could see what it was for the first 2 years of that contract, and that was the increase we gave them.
Gotcha.
And we agreed on things.
hopefully by Friday, I'll have more information. I know it's gonna be on the, special meetings agenda. At this time, if they can't provide anything, I would recommend we don't do anything.
How many customers do we have?
Grant customer. So we have roughly 1,560 water customers, and I think there's 15,320.
65 cents is significant.
Yeah, it's like 1,500, 1,320. It's somewhere right around there, because not your out of town customers don't have trash, your commercial visitors have their own dumpsters and things like that.
That'd be a 65 cent increase per month.
Per customer per
Per
month,
month.
yes, it comes out to about $11,800 a year. On an increase. Sorry.
No,
And I did attach the letter from Dane so that you can see that yourself. Going on, I did put, so I wanted to do something real fast before I get into this budget, and that'll be the last thing. So I included it in this papers for council, mayor and council, how the Badger meter works. This is the weirdest thing ever, but I know that we had a lot of people that question it, how the process works. And so you're gonna get just see what it looks like after.
I just want to say, Clinton, I love you.
You are.
No, so what we install is not always this rough looking, but I'm gonna tell you. A setup like this to install for each customer is $600, about 570 to 600 if you do that times. If you do that times 1,550 customers, there is roughly $883,500 worth of these in our system, give or take. Some customers have concrete pits. Your commercials have bigger meters than what you see here. But this typical setup for a residential customer is a $600 setup, 570 to $600 setup. Now, I talk about meters all the time, so I took old stuff, and so don't mind this. So when I say we order meters, EIDs, a setup like this is $225. This is this piece and this. This is a register. It's got a little blue tattler on it, is what we call it. So if you have a water leak and you were to open this up, you can physically see water creeping through. The design has changed a little bit. We have some that are like they have a digital format. But if you let it scroll through, it still has a little dial that will spin on it. And then and the rest of it are just like this. So the only thing that can fail on this, and you have this, how the Badger meter works, is this device right here. This is the endpoint. This is the only part of this mechanism that has batteries in it. When this fails and we drive by, it will not communicate with our truck, which would then require us to go back out and do a reread. So we go back, we reread, we open it up, then we get this number here. And so if you ever see somebody saying they're doing a reread, it's because it didn't read in the first place. The batteries died. This is an 8 series. This meter alone is almost 20 years old. It's life expectancy. We just took this out of the ground. And they say life expectancy is 12 to 15, and we're pushing 20 on some of these. Ultimately, if you look at how the Badger meter works, there's a mutating disc inside this right here. Water physically goes through that, rocks that mutating disc, therefore spinning this number up. If this were to ever fail, it is not going to fail on the benefit of the city. Meaning, if it fails, it reads less than what you're using. Because like all things, when a bearing goes bad, it causes friction and moves slower. It will never say, oh, you use more water than what you really use. It can't happen. There's no physical possible way. It has to have water moving through it in order to move. But I wanted to show how that works. That goes on there, closes, this goes up through the top. Some of them aren't up through the top. We have been working through going through drilling holes in the metal lids or the plastic lids that don't have holes and digging these up through the top. This is a meter valve, and this side would be the check valve. A check valve, if you have a high pressure water heater or you're building pressure up in your system, a check valve prevents water from coming back from the residence into our distribution main. It's considered a contamination. The DNR says you have to have check valves. And as we move through the process of repairing or replacing services, we are putting check valves in. So.
Is that one part, is it replaceable batteries or it's just,
They are not.
it's just bad?
No.
It's bad.
It's, as you can tell. So the other, one of the other things that I want to touch on, if a customer ever has, say they develop a water leak in their yard. They call City Hall and say, hey, can I get a sewer, adjustment for the water leak? Because obviously it didn't go down the sewer, it just serviced in the yard and went somewhere in the yard. We come out, there's a little, I call it a little nibble right here. We come out with a device, we rest it right here on top of this, and this will pull all of the information for the last 180 days plus on how much water you use per hour, per day, per month, per year. So
How often do you read the meters?
monthly. We try to do it the first of the month. If the first on Sunday, we read on the second. If the first on Saturday, we read on Friday.
So when we get a bill, it is accurate for that month.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any questions on that before I move on? Yes.
It's full of meaning. That we're building on the. How that's working.
So we read, so like this month, upcoming month, we'll read June 1st. It'll be not confused because I'm confusing myself. So June 1st, we'll read for May 1st to May 31st. And then that bill, what we do is we do the reading on June 1st. On June 16th, they will generate billing. Once they generate billing and they go out, yes, you're basically a month behind.
You're a month behind.
Yes.
So the reading you got, the bill you get is for a month previous, actually.
Yes.
So I have another question. So when somebody cuts off their water and they're presented with the last bill, that is for that month that's lagged? I mean, do they get another bill?
So that could be like a 45 days or 50 days. So it depends on, if we've read meters on the 1st and they shut off on the 10th, then they will generate a work order for, shut off, lock. What we do is we'll go out, we shut it off, so we'll lock it and we'll get a reading. And then that reading will be for say 10 days in June and the previous 30 days. So 40 days there. So yes. These meters, this device will never come out of the ground unless it fails. Basically, when a new customer moves into that property, this EID, there's an EID on here, and there's a serial number on here that is linked to that address. And so we go out just to make sure somebody didn't steal water. They'll reread the meter to make sure that's what the last number was. Type it in, and then it generates the account and gets on the normal billing cycle.
Don't fall through. Don't fall through.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, so I'm gonna go on to 26-27 enterprise budget. Cameron, I didn't do it like you did on Excel spreadsheets in a book type of guy.
That's okay. Yours is way better managed than mine was.
I'm just gonna start on the first page and move through it that way and kind of do it quickly-ish. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask questions. So for enterprise G&A income, some large numbers, and for the income portion would be garbage income, 325,000. Late fees and postage, 12,500. Sales tax income, 44,000. Utility tax income, 17,500. Total enterprise general and admin income, $431,631.
Going on to expenditures for enterprise G and A. Garbage payable, you can see the amount there. General liability insurance, 70,000, that covers. It's in the book. I apologize. I sent an email out to. No, you probably. It'll look like this on the front. You want me to? Here, I'll share it. All right. General liability insurance is 70,000. That covers the general liability insurance for all of enterprise under our G&A. Total enterprise general and admin expenditures $540,782.90. I made this up. Look, it's fine. Thinking about a good purpose. All right. Does anybody have any questions on enterprise G&A income?
That was great to see. I'd see.
Water office income, they don't have any income expenditures for water office, $181,248.14. That's for the water office side. Distribution, total distribution income, $61,000. We get, we appropriate $60,000 worth of our leachate income towards distribution, $1,000 of scrap income. Anytime we take those pits out or service lines, replace that stuff, we take everything out of the ground. We cut sections out of mains, we store that in our impound lot, and then we take it and scrap it once a year. So we projected about $1,000 worth of scrap income. There's quite a bit out there as right now. Moving on to the expenditures portion from distribution. Total distribution expenditures $490,574.15. Going to the next page, PMP income, which is our water plant. Total PMP income $913,500. About $908,000 from water sales, $5,500 from plant water sales, which is the water salesman out front. Expenditures portion of the water plant, $680,530.97. Chemicals, you can see chemicals are about $160,000 a year to treat our water. Contract works $30,000. That is, we have a contract service with Hawk, and basically that monitors and calibrates and all of our testing equipment. Wastewater income. So for the income, wastewater, for the income portion of it, we receive about $205,000 from leachate, $320,000 from sewer sales, and then $120,000 from wastewater operations and maintenance, for a total wastewater income of $730,000. Total wastewater expenditures $311,577.56. Debt service, I know this is kind of hard to see. Total debt service restricted expenditures $899,547.08. That debt service includes a $381,000 worth of payments for our wastewater plant. I'm just going to give rough $62,997 for our LT2, $22,843 for I&I, and then roughly $70,000 each on the Georgia Street Water and Sewer COP project for 2018. See if I have any questions on that. You're not working out, so you got it still.
All right, the last page, enterprise, revenue, I'm gonna just read these number again, these are the total numbers all over, all the other pages. GNA, 26-27 proposed budget revenue, $431,631. Distribution, $61,000. Water plant, $913,500. Wastewater, $730,000. And then revenue for debt service or restricted funds is $968,145.08 for a total of $3,104,276.08. Enterprise expenditures, GNA, $540,782.90. Water office, $181,248.14. Distribution, $490,574.15. Water plant, $680,530.97. Wastewater, $311,577.56. And then debt service restricted funds, $899,547.08 for a total of $3,104,260.08, which brings us to a balanced budget of $15.28 left. I do want to backtrack on the page. You don't have to the last page. You don't have to go back to it. There is some repayment payments in there. A payment to McMailers for 26-27 of $138,653.46, and our annual repayment to the city, and that will be our final payment. We're expected by the end of 26-27 to pay off roughly $200,000 worth of debt. Our McMailers, our city, and our INI. I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions.
I want to add something. You had said to me earlier today that you felt sorry. And you'll have to like tell me the exact wording. You said you had felt sorry, kind of for having like yours all put together. Out of the 7 budget meetings, only 1 was for him. And that was because he has managed enterprise so well. And so I'm gonna interject here just to say this is he has done a phenomenal job. He's way too humble. But also, yeah. I told him when he told me that I rejected it because that I like to feel bad about it because I said I like having the what was the word I used? The counter. I like, being able to look and say, okay, part of the city it is or like as you guys are concerned, it is something you know that it's possible to reach a stage where everything is flowing smoothly, systems are in place. And so as you go and you review everything that we've given you, I know we've been here for 2 hours. I think Clinton is a great example of like when it's done right, it will function very well, it will function very efficiently, and our citizens will benefit from it.
I'll touch on that just a tad bit. I do recall what he's talking about, and I do have the enterprise account balances for the end of April 2026. And this is where that statement came from. I told him I felt a little sorry for him because total restricted funds, if I recall, for the city is about 750,000. Of the 750,000, 300 of it was roughly to the library, and then there was some other stuff that was allocated to other departments, to John Cotton, some cemetery funding and things like that. Our total enterprise restricted funds is $1,569,652.21. And enterprise non-restricted funds at the end of April was $177,292.55 for a grand total of $1,746,944.76. And I do recall going through the past, I think it was October 2021, the city, and don't hold me, I may be a little off, the city had roughly 1.5 million in their accounts. Enterprise had 1.6, and today I think what are you at 1.1?
If you're being liberal,
we're at 1.7. So since October of 2021, we've actually increased roughly $100,000, and we've gotten a lot of work done. I understand some of it was for
from other funding purposes and capital improvements, ARPA funding, things where we did do a lot of infrastructure updates throughout the enterprise system. And we continue to do that as much as we can in-house, where we have to reach out. Other than that, I don't have anything.
I would just say that it's nice not to have to worry about that side. We can focus all of our attention on the city side,
Thanks, John.
knowing that this is gonna work. It's your side is doing it the way it's supposed to. That's a credit to you. And you are a humble man and you don't take credit for it. You do a hell of a job.
I give the
You're
credit.
phenomenal.
I give the credit to everybody underneath me.
Yeah,
I will say that. Over the fire department, we have 21 fire department personnel. With the exception of me, there's 20 underneath of me. I've got 12 and a half for the enterprise side. I'm one of them, so say 11 and a half. I say a half a part-timer. And there's no way that I can do it all.
Yeah.
And it's because I know that if somebody needs something, they're going to do what is the most cost effective. They don't frivolously spend. They do exactly how the job is supposed to be. I don't question either one of the plant operators or the chief operators of the plants. I don't question the distribution supervisor, and I don't question anybody underneath me at the fire department for the most part. Everybody does exactly what is supposed to be done.
Any other questions, discussion? Want to go on to the
Did you hear that?
fire chief report?
Yes, I can. So for some department updates, we didn't do a whole lot of things for ourselves. We did a lot for everybody else. So we went out to Memorial. We went out for Memorial Day to the Long Church. We got some little kid fire games and things. We hooked our truck to spray water. The kids had a lot of fun. We do this every year, and it's always a blast. We went out to the Louisiana Elementary School for their end of the year fun day. This is something we do every year, keeps them involved within the kids. So basically, we take our trucks out there, we take our games, we fill up their whatever they get to fill up, their slides, water slides, whatever they have. And we go out and spend the day with them. I think they spent literally from 8 o'clock till school was out on that day. We attended the hospital for their annual Healthy Kids Day. This is another event that we attend to keep ourselves involved within the community. And the biggest one that is actually not from this past month, it's upcoming this Saturday, is the Neighbor Supporting Firefighters event put on by the Hands and Hearts of Pike County. This event is for all the fire departments in the county. It will be held at the Pike County Fairgrounds from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We hope to see everyone out there supporting us and the departments of Pike County. I encourage anybody and everybody to go out. There's supposed to be a lot of vendors, games. We're going to land some helicopters. Be a lot of trucks out there, raffles. From my understanding, it's going to be a pretty huge event. Even if you don't want to support Louisiana, go out and support another fire department. I just hope to see everybody out there.
Did I hear that I get a ride in a helicopter?
No.
You have to take that up with them.
you don't want to ride.
Yeah.
There might be a weight limit, we don't know.
Most importantly, I want to thank the Belong Church, the Pike County Memorial Hospital, Louisiana School, and Hands and Hearts of Pike County for always including us, supporting us, and overall aiding the success of the Louisiana Fire Department. All of those organizations always include us. They invite us. They ask us. The Hands and Hearts is putting on this huge event. It's not just for us; it's for the whole county. But they did this. I think mainly with the two of them, and it's going to be very rewarding to go out and to see how the event turns out. More rewarding for them because I know it's going to be a huge turnout. Incident response data: we had 27 medical calls, 6 fires, fire-related calls, and 4 special events. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do back up there and get it. It already looked me today.
Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
Not really. I got the ordinances and we have a plan on that, and other than some of the ordinances that the police officers don't see or don't hear about, like parking on the sidewalks and grass being mowed and thrown in the streets and little things like that. Yeah, you're bad. Emily, got anything else for the ordinances?
We're working on getting that one updated.
On the animals.
Yep, I know we have our animal control committee meeting, first one. We're gonna present.
What day is that?
That's June 1st. Next Monday, we have our first committee meeting for animal control. And we'll be discussing some different ordinances to present to the ordinance committee for some changes that we've done. Also, the ordinance, make them flow a little better.
That's all I have.
Not. It's not good about it. Committee's been having the liaison for tourism. And they had a great meeting. I'm really excited about the people on it. A lot of conversation, a lot of ideas, and I think it's really looking like they're done this. So.
Okay. Is there any old business? Okay. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve resolution 15-2026, authorizing the filing of an application with DNR State Revolving Fund Program for loans under the Missouri Safe Drinking Water Law.
So
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, all those in favor say yes.
yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve resolution 16-2026, authorizing the Louisiana Tourism Commission to enter into a contract with Lamar Advertising for billboard advertising services.
Motion to enter into the contract for billboard.
You have a first or a second?
I'll motion.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion?
Which billboard is this?
This is the billboard on the west side of town,
On where 54 and Highway NN connect.
right there.
Next to the gas station on
Buffalo
50.
Township Fire Patrol.
Yes, yes.
And isn't that also one that we had considered getting different skins for? And so taking that one off and maybe storing it somewhere, we could probably reuse it again.
It is funny. You should say that.
Oh, it was discussed at the tourism committee meeting that they were gonna do skins. Each skin is like $700. I think they were gonna do ones each quarterly. And so they would have 4 different skins over the course of the year.
So they would do like, obviously our Color Fest would be one, it would be advertising that, and then 4th of July, something we've got want to have something every quarter, so.
Christmas.
Go towards that, and then, like she said, they will take them, it's free of charge, they will take them down for us. Put up the next one we want for that quarter, and when that's done, and they store them. So it's a really nice service, and that way we have something fresh too, which will draw eyes.
Yeah, we tell them what we want and they do the artwork themselves and everything. So,
And it's all covered in 4355.
well, it's $700 per skin that we'll have to do above the 43.
That's once a year for that 43,
Yeah,
is
that's-
to rent the actual.
Leasing of the billboard.
And what budget does that come out?
That's out of the hotel motel tax. Currently, they are sitting at about
32,000, I think, yeah.
So we have the money covered?
Yes, we have the money to cover. It's one of those restricted accounts. And in the budget every year, we simply zero it out for projected income and projected expenses. They almost never hit projected expenses, and so they're sitting on, as Councilwoman Frejo said, about $32,000.
just in for funds.
Just
in the checking.
Any other discussion? So all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next was the special event application. And Josh, do you have that in your packet?
Now, I spoke with Jock today and, special event applications have to go through the police chief. To make sure like all the street closures and stuff are safe for traffic and stuff like that. And he, told me that he approved it, so now it's just at your guys' discretion.
Unless you need some time to look over that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Hands and Hearts Pike County's application for July 4th, 2026.
So moved.
Thank you.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Pose like sign. Any abstention? You abstain. One abstain. She carries. At this point, I'll open the floor for any comments from the public on any item discussed during the meeting. Okay, is there any immediate clarification? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Vote like sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned.